Welcome to another edition of SVSU Red Alert, your weekly update on Saginaw Valley State University athletics. I'm your host, JJ Boehm. The SVSU football team is still searching for its first victory after falling to Ferris State. We'll see what they need to do against their next opponent, Northern Michigan, when we talk to head coach Jim Collins. And we'll also get an update on how the SVSU cross-country programs are doing. That's all ahead on this edition of SVSU Red Alert. Welcome back to SVSU Red Alert. I'm JJ Boehm, joined by SVSU head football coach Jim Collins. And Coach, certainly not the way you wanted the game to go against Ferris State, probably on a number of levels. Now that you've had a chance to look at the film, what did you see and what do you do now to move forward?
Well, you know, obviously every single week you're going to make mistakes and you're going to find things that you need to work on and improve on. You know, one of the things that I want to say right off the bat is Ferris State's a good football team. They've got good players. The quarterback is an exceptional player. I think he's got to be one of the better players in the country. And I think they did a great job executing their game plan and doing the things that, you know, you have to do in order to win a football game. They didn't turn the ball over until late in the fourth quarter. When you know, we talked about turnovers, how important that was going to be, what a big role they played last year. We didn't create enough. We only had one turnover, but it was costly. It was an interception that was returned for a touchdown. So, you know, we didn't make enough big plays early on, didn't get enough big stops. You know, there were times we moved the ball early on, but really didn't get on the scoreboard till late in the half. So, you know, all the little things we talked about last week, needing to create turnovers, needing to get off to an explosive start in terms of plays, both offensively and defensively, didn't happen. Found ourselves behind at halftime and, you know, still battled and played 4 quarters with everything we had, but just not good enough this past Saturday night.
One of the things that is probably difficult for an observer to discern is what they saw on Saturday night. How much of that is Ferris being really good and how much of that is SVSU still having a lot of room for improvement? As you assess it, how do you balance that equation?
You know, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's tough to assess. And when you watch the video, and I told our team this in our first meeting on Monday morning, you can pick out plays, numerous plays. You know, I said it's roughly in the 20s where we did a great job of executing. We looked like the more physical team at times, and I thought we looked like we were executing at a high level. But 20 plays or 21 plays is not enough to win a football game, especially against good people. And you know, I think it's hard to really evaluate improvement from week 3 to week 4 because of the score and the quality of the opponent. But I think we made some strides. I saw some physical runs by our running backs. We did make some plays in the pass game defensively. You saw some people emerge, like a Matt McCoy. I thought we were solid in the kicking game. But not enough improvement and not enough execution at a high level.
What do you do now, particularly on the offensive side of the football? You're not going to see another team quite like Ferris and quite like the challenges that they present, but week in and week out, you are going to see tough defenses.
Exactly. And, you know, we talked about this in the radio show. Number one, got to get off to a better start. The last 3 games, we've been 3 and out on the first drive, so we've got to do a better job, I think, of being prepared right out of the get-go. We've received the football first in all 4 games, and not be able to get something going so that's number one. Number 2, more explosive plays. We saw them against Tech, and the other 3 games, not enough of them. Now that's personnel, it's scheme, but we got to be able to make those big plays. Big plays are what win college football games. And then, you know, the other part of it is, and we talked about this, more consistent running. You know, there are times where we looked really good running the ball. That drive at the end of the first half, thought we looked really good running the ball. There's some situations in the second half that looked really good running the ball. Just not enough consistency. Need more consistency in the run game.
Well, hopefully those things can come together for the Cardinals as they next take on Northern Michigan. A little bit later on, we'll talk to Jim Collins about what the Cardinals need to do to be successful against the Wildcats. But when we come back, we'll be joined by SVSU defensive line coach Josh Miller. That's next on SVSU Red Alert.
This week's Spring Hill Suites Female Athlete of the Week is Mackenzie Fraudle. Fraudle, a senior on the SVSU volleyball team, helped the Lady Cards post 2 victories this weekend. Fraudle had 35 kills in 4 games for the Cardinals while posting a .438 hitting percentage. The senior has a league-leading hitting percentage of .367 this season, as well as a team high in kills with 96. Her best performance of the week came on Wednesday, 9/23, where she recorded 18 kills and 5 blocks against Wayne State. After finishing the week 2-2, the Cardinals return home to play against a pair of GLIAC opponents this weekend. On Friday, 10/3, SVSU plays the Findlay Oilers at 7 p.m. before hosting the Hillsdale Chargers on Saturday, 10/4 at 2 p.m. in the Cardinal Gym. Mackenzie Fraudle, your Spring Hill Suites Female Athlete of the Week.
Welcome back to SVSU Red Alert. I'm JJ Boehm, joined by SVSU defensive line coach Josh Miller. And Coach, we keep talking about this team. Everybody wants to see a victory and get this team some positive results. What has it been like for you and working with your group? Because you've got an interesting mix of, you've actually got some seniors and guys who are really battle tested, but also a lot of freshmen that you're giving playing time to.
Right, and then we got a good mix of both. And so the good thing is we got 2 of our senior captains on the defensive line, so that helps with some of these young guys, teaching them the ways, teaching them, some of the moves. They stay after practice, work with some guys. So it's great having a good mix of young and old. Definitely a big change from the last 2 years of having a lot of veterans. So I think right now we're playing 4 redshirt freshmen on the D-line combined with them. So. But, they've been positive. They've been staying on top of it. I've been preaching to my 2 senior defensive ends that a lot of football left in your career, and we got to just stay on track and keep getting better each week. Keep emphasizing the little things and get better in all the little techniques, assignments, and eliminate any mental errors, and just stay on track and keep grinding to get better so we can get a win.
And when you play defensive end, you're talking about Will Schwartz and Murtada Jabi, your
Right.
2 seniors. The rest of us, we see them when they make a big play or when they get burned for a play. The rest of the time, you don't get to evaluate really how a defensive end, or a defensive lineman for that matter, is playing. What do you see when you're breaking down the film and how not just those 2 guys, but the entire unit is playing?
Well, there's been a large progression each week, specifically in some of the young guys. Chris Travis came in and, this is his first year not only playing, but he came in and he's starting for us right away. So there's been a huge progression in where he's been from week 1 to week 4, which is great to see. And even with the older guys, TJ Bowes, Murtada Jabi, Will Schwartz, it's continue. There's been a big difference. We've been challenging them each week with a new challenge, whether it's pressure to QB, whether it's, little technique things. And they've been doing a great job of rising to the challenge to continue growing. We just got to take bigger steps. I think that's what I keep preaching. We got to take even bigger steps. And my big challenge to them is to continue to be more productive overall. Not doing outside of what we're asking them to do, but just taking it to the next level and being, more productive as a defensive line and helping on that. And I've always pushed those guys beyond the limit, and that's what I'll continue doing because I want to see them succeed and see the best. And especially with having 2 senior ends that have been a part of the program for a while, I'm really challenging them to, step it up and continue to be a bigger production number on the defensive line as well.
And certainly they're a group that you have to expect that they're going to need to make some plays against Northern Michigan because they're a team that likes to put the air in the ball quite a bit, or put the ball in the air quite a bit.
Right, and that'll be a big thing this week is when we get that drop back pass, we got to be active. And the terminology we use is we got to be street fighters. They got to be active with their hands, active with their feet, and really condense and collapse the pocket because Shea Brown, Northern Michigan's quarterback, does a great job. He's not a big runner, but he does a great job with pocket presence and escaping if we allow him to. And then that will allow them to stretch the pass, the play. So we got to make sure to do a great job being active, collapsing that pocket, getting after it, and taking advantage of the time. If they're going to throw the ball a lot, then we expect our guys to get a lot of pressure. So.
Well, hopefully they get some pressure. They were able to come up with 6 sacks as a unit up at Michigan Tech. I know you'd love to see a similar performance.
Absolutely. That would be the goal. If we could get that every week, that would be something special. So we got to keep that number in mind as a goal and keep working towards that, whether it's in a pressure situation or not. we got to make sure we do a great job of getting to the quarterback, that's for sure.
Well, hopefully they can get pressure on the quarterback, maintain their discipline in the run gaps, and the Cardinals can come up with a victory against the Wildcats. Josh Miller, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
And when we come back, we'll be joined by SVSU cross-country coach Jason Hartman. That's next on SVSU Red Alert. Welcome back to SVSU Red Alert. I'm JJ Boehm, joined now by SVSU cross-country coach Jason Hartman. And Jason, welcome to Red Alert.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
And we'll kind of run through both the men's and the women's cross-country program, starting with the men. Give people a sense for who are the guys that you're working with and what are you seeing from them early in the season?
Well, it's a whole new group. Me being my first year here, or first actually 2 months here, it's a whole new set of guys. Basically, one guy from the top 7 last year is a returning guy this year. So there's a lot of new faces and a lot of unheard of guys that hopefully within the next couple of years people will be able to recognize. But a lot of new guys.
And what do you do to work with them to help them become more successful? Because there really is a science to becoming a better cross-country runner, isn't there?
Yeah, there's all these elements. Most of these kids don't really know how to train at a high level. And so it's kind of, you try to start at a basic level, making sure that you implement your program and not let it be too much for them. So try to get your basic fundamentals, have them learn it, and then slowly build off those fundamentals, just so they could be a really high competitive athlete here. That's kind of where we're at with a lot of those guys. A very basic level of understanding good fundamentals.
And it's something too where people think, oh, I see the cross-country team running around campus, they're getting in their work. There really is more that you need to do than just make sure that you're out there running. That's part of that high-level training you talked about.
Yeah, there's weight training, there's doing abs, there's sleeping right, eating right, all those things that really are the 1% that make up the whole 100% of what being a successful athlete is. And that just doesn't only apply to cross country, that applies to other sports. You got to put in the extra work that doesn't really, it's not practice work. It's the commitment beyond the practice.
And what are you seeing from, staying with the guys team for a moment, what are you seeing for them now as you kind of head into some of your more important meets?
I think they're starting to get more of the training that we're doing. They're adapting to the workload, the intensity, the work, and they're kind of understanding what it takes to be competitive. That's the very basic kind of where we're at right now. And I think you're going to see a great deal of improvement from our top varsity guys that raced at MSU to our next varsity guys meet would be Wisconsin in 2 weeks or a week and a half. And hopefully we can build off the mistakes we made at MSU and try to capitalize and get better.
And then switching to the women's side, kind of the opposite scenario from the standpoint, you've got a program that's gone to nationals 3 years in a row and been inching up from 13th to 12th to 11th, and you've got all of the top ladies runners returning.
Yeah, well, I think at that level and as competitive as the women are, they have to stay healthy, and there's a lot that goes into being healthy. If you can't get all your top 7 to the line 100%, then it's really hard to perform. And so that's the issue that we're kind of dealing with right now with them.
And what do you do to get them ready to continue to make progress? I mean, obviously you'd love to see a national championship, but there's a lot of things that go into that. But this is a program now that really has built a tradition of success. How do you make sure that that success gets even a little bit better?
It's walking through the door. It's you see that moment and you step up and you walk through that door and grab the next level, with the trophies and the things that you really aspire to be. They have the capability of doing that. Now, with cross country and running, it's being right on the day, and there's no guarantees. So you gotta really be willing to grab hold of walking through the door, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, hopefully they can do that, and hopefully they're going to continue to have success in their important meets coming up as well. We'd love to see them back at the national finals and keep finishing a little bit better than they have the year before. Jason, thanks for joining us.
Pleasure. Thank you.
And when we come back, we'll be joined by SVSU head football coach Jim Collins. That's next on SVSU Red Alert.
This week's Spring Hill Suites Male Athlete of the Week is Craig Neal. Neal, a senior on the SVSU men's soccer team, helped the unbeaten Cardinals post 2 more victories this weekend. Neal scored 2 goals and added 1 assist for the Cardinals this past weekend as they defeated Tiffin University and the University of Findlay on the road. On Friday, 9/26, Neal scored the game winner in double overtime against the Dragons, and on Sunday, 9/28, he added another game winner against the Oilers. He now has 8 game-winning goals in his Cardinal career. SVSU is 7-0-1 overall and 4-0-1 in the GLIAC after a pair of victories over the weekend. The Cardinals return home for a pair of games against GLIAC opponents at Braddock Field this weekend. The Cardinals play the Ohio Dominican Panthers on Friday, 10-3 at 3:30 p.m. before hosting the Lake Erie Storm on Sunday, 10-5 at 2:30 p.m. Craig Neal, your Spring Hill Suites Male Athlete of the Week.
Welcome back to SVSU Red Alert. I'm J.J. Boehm, rejoined by SVSU head football coach Jim Collins. And Coach, September's behind you now. You get to start a new month of October. What do you need to do to keep your team in the right frame of mind? Because I think that's probably the first step in terms of trying to get them prepared to win on Saturday against Northern Michigan.
Exactly. And you know, it's all state of mind. It really is. Confidence, belief, and then still having that attitude, that positive attitude that creates a better working environment and also a harder working environment. And we've seen that. There's been evidence of that. That's one of the things, you talk to Matt McCoy on the radio show, and he's a great spokesman for our team, but he's a young guy. So when I hear young guys saying positive things, I know the whole team is getting it. And really right now we're a team that's maybe we haven't found our identity yet, but is working very hard to make sure that we all do the things that it takes to win football games. We're still making a few mistakes, but the work ethic has been tremendous. The attitude has been positive. Disappointed, frustrated early after games, but showing up on Monday ready to work. So I think if you just keep on that track, if you just stay on that track and you keep making those little improvements in all the little areas, it's going to add up to big things and preparing you to win on Saturdays.
You mentioned you want more consistency on the offensive side of the football. How do you go about putting that together? Because, of course, it's easy to draw it up. It's hard to do it when you've got another team out there trying to prevent you from doing it.
And that's it. I mean, if you look at across football from the pros on down, it's, consistency is what you're looking for, but that other team's looking for the same thing. Great point, JJ. But here's the deal. The only thing you can control is yourself, and it starts in practice. You have to really work to be consistent in practice, and that's what I evaluate. And when we have practices where we make a mistake here or there, there's a missed assignment or a missed read or a drop ball, that's the lack of consistency that you have to address. So I think it's being more consistent in practice, working harder in practice, working on the little things, taking care of the little things, details, and then I think puts you in a position, prepares you to have those things happen for you on Saturdays. It's a challenge. Every single week, that's the challenge every team in the country is looking for. And it's a matter, I think, of practice is everything. You've got to practice it first, and you've got to be at a high level of execution on that practice field.
You never want it to sound as though it's coming across as an excuse, but it is part of the explanation for the slow start on some of these games in offense is that the personnel that you were expecting to contribute when you were in fall camp haven't been there consistently on a week in and week out basis. Probably didn't have the full group until this past week 4 against Ferris. Now that you have them working together in practice more consistently, is that something that you hope will translate into better results?
Absolutely, and that's the biggest thing. Practice in the game of football is about that connection with quarterbacks, receivers, offensive line, timing, reads. It's everything. And, if you don't have the same people in there, if it's always a jumbled up lineup, it's tough to develop that continuity. So, I think we're starting to see it. There's a little bit more continuity in practice, which is going to lead to more continuity on Saturdays. And that's been the challenge. We talked about the past of having that consistency with the Jennings and the Janis and the Thrash and the Albrechts, the same people week in and week out on that practice field and on those games. We've got to start developing that, and we're in the beginning stages of it, but you can see it starting to come together right now.
What kind of challenges does Northern Michigan present on Saturday, and what do you need to do to get SVSU its first victory?
Well, number one, Northern Michigan's they run a 30 defense, bring pressure, so that's a little bit different from the last couple weeks of what we've been seeing in a 40 defense. So our offensive line's got to be able to identify those fronts and block the right people. They play a mixture of man and zone coverage, so we've got to do a great job of running routes and being accurate with our passes. And then offensively, they're going to throw 4 wide receivers at you. They're going to run the ball as shotgun and throw it out of shotgun. So we've got to be prepared for a team that's going to spread the field, play with speed. And, as in the Tech game, I think the same thing, you've got to pressure the quarterback. You got to force turnovers. So those are the challenges. Those are our goals. They're the same goals, just different challenges in terms of the type of team you're playing. And then in the kicking game, once again, there's some things that I think we've done well. There's some things we need to improve in. But Northern Michigan's got some good return guys. We've got to do a great job covering kicks.
Hopefully all of those things come together, and hopefully now that we've moved into October, the Cardinals can get a winning streak going. Coach Collins, good luck.
Thanks, JJ.
And we thank you for joining us, and we hope you have enjoyed this edition of SVSU Red Alert.